am changing up pretty much everything about my curriculum for next year, so we'll see how this goes. Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life, and just for some context, next year I will have a 3rd grader, a 1st grader, and as always, a toddler. This whole school year I've been really happy with my kids' progress, and I just always kind of assumed that I would continue on doing the same routine with the same curriculum into next year, but certain circumstances have changed. Some experiences we've had have really made me rethink that. So I'm kind of ready to start mixing things up. If you're mixing things up too for next year, let me know in the comments below. I want to make sure I'm not the only person who's completely changing everything. So a couple things that have changed in my homeschool lately is that my daughters who are homeschool age can now read on their own, which is really wild, and it just kind of opens our horizons, I feel like. I don't need to concentrate really on phonics as much as I was. Like, I feel like I can give them a little more freedom. Also, we put away our TV, so we are spending a lot more time reading or doing read-alouds as a family, so that's another factor. And kind of the biggest thing is I recently took like a 2-week break from doing school. My kids were helping my husband do a bunch of different projects around the house, and I noticed that they were learning so much from all these different subjects while helping him just do normal everyday life skills. So I have made the executive decision that we are gonna completely change things up. So instead of doing our usual, school book lessons for an hour a day type thing, we're gonna do more of this Charlotte Mason, more read aloud approach to school, which I'm super excited about. The main curriculum that I've been using for the Charlotte Mason method is AmblesideOnline, which is a free online Charlotte Mason curriculum. There's a whole schedule, a whole book list on there, and it's great. I've always loved it, and I've always wanted to dive headfirst into doing it, but there's just always been some sort of obstacle or some excuse that I could come up with. But I'm really looking forward to just, getting rid of all the obstacles and excuses and just doing it. So how is this reflected in my curriculum choices for next year? I will start with language arts. Of course, with AmblesideOnline, we're going to be kind of sticking to the schedule loosely. So this is my printed out PDF version of the frequently asked questions, the schedule, and the book list from the AmblesideOnline website. So this is what I will be referring to, but you kind of just start doing read-alouds with your kids, and this is for history and language arts, but so I will be sticking to a lot of what this schedule has in store for us. A big part of language arts is literature, and a big part of the literature subject is Shakespeare. This is my book, Tales from Shakespeare, and we've done several of them in here. These are retellings of Shakespeare plays, and this is for children. So we've done a bunch of different comedies, and we just did our first tragedy. That was Hamlet, and the girls loved it. So that's just proof that Shakespeare is for kids. As far as actual writing practice goes, I will do lightning literature with my kids. This is the grade 1 book that my upcoming 3rd grader is still kind of working through. And then I do have the next grade level, the grade 2 book for her as well. And lightning literature, I like it because I trust the quality of the books that it does recommend for each lesson, and I do like the different grammar and like sentence structure type lessons that it teaches in the book. And also there's writing practice in it. There's copywork type stuff, there's writing written responses, kind of written narration type things. So I think lightning literature is really a great compromise for needing some sort of curriculum in order to create work samples, but also using and embracing the Charlotte Mason approach. I do plan on continuing Explode the Code Book 3 with my 1st grader, just so she can fully finish developing those phonics concepts, but I mean, she's pretty much reading on her own now, so she might not even need to finish that book. So that's all, really exciting. And of course, I'm going to continue to encourage free reads, because now that we don't have a TV, there's really no excuse, and that's kind of what my kids do all day, which I love. All right, I'm gonna move on to history now, and this is actually my favorite subject right now, and I think it's the most important subject. So I'm really just wanting to put an emphasis on history in my homeschool. So up until now, I have always kind of used Story of the World, and I don't have any major problems with it. I just feel like we were kind of dreading using it, and it wasn't becoming as, I guess, organic in my homeschool. It wasn't really fitting in anymore. And so I'm gonna just really hit the Ambleside Online history readings hard this year, which is great because we've already kind of done them on the side, but I want to make them the centerpiece of my history readings. So we will be doing Our Island Story. We're making great progress in this. We're over halfway through finally. I mean, this is a massive book and there's so much on each page and we're really enjoying it. And as long as we do it consistently, I do find that my kids do keep being interested in it and they're excited to do a new chapter every day or every other day, something like that. So this is a great history book. This is a history of England for boys and girls. And then next we will be doing This Country of Ours, which is like the history of the United States, which is where we live. I'm so overwhelmed by how excited I am to do history this year because I'm really looking forward to doing these Ambleside Online books. I just can't believe I never really committed to them fully before. I do also plan on supplementing our history readings with the stories from 50 Famous Stories Retold. These are Ambleside Online Year 1 readings and I'm looking forward to doing that. We actually started them and my girls love the stories. So that's always a fun option for us to do. And then something I also kind of wanted to incorporate was geography. So the way I'm doing that is I bought this, and if you watched my unboxing, you would have seen my excited reaction when I finally received this. This is Geography, a literature approach for intermediate grades. This is actually printed by Beautiful Feet Books, which is a great company, and they have great products. But this one actually uses 4 books that are already a part of Ambleside Online to teach geography concepts. The 4 books that this book uses and also Ambleside Online uses are Paddle to the Sea, Seabird, Men of the Mississippi, and Tree in the Trail. Along with this, I also bought the maps that the kids can work on to show what they're learning about geography from the books, so that's great. So I also wanted to just kind of show you my copy of Paddle to the Sea. These are just beautiful. I don't know anything about this author, but I think everyone should read these books. I mean, super short chapters. This is an entire chapter right here. And then the illustrations in this book are just breathtaking. And I love the stories. I love how these books teach geography in such a fun, immersive way for kids. So yeah, this is Paddle to the Sea. This is the first one in this curriculum. But we will just keep moving along. I don't know how many of these books we'll get through this year, probably maybe 1 or 2. But this is also a really exciting part of our upcoming homeschool year. Next, let's talk about science. Science is the subject that I am basically letting go of all curriculum altogether. I just haven't been happy with any science curriculums that we have ever used, and I've used kind of a little bit of everything using all sorts of different approaches. So I've just decided to ditch science curriculum altogether. I think it's way more fun to learn science hands-on or doing nature study or just watching nature videos. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. The 2 closest things to curriculum that I will be using for science are videos from Homeschool Science Club, which is my favorite science YouTube channel. And he also, for Homeschool Science Club, John, who is the dad who has this YouTube channel, he creates worksheets that are available on his website that accompany the videos. So if I needed to create a sample, I could do that using Homeschool Science Club. The other one is Mystery Science. We've used these videos before. We don't always use all the, the worksheets and all the stuff, the activities that go along with the videos, but simply watching the videos alone are just great. I like the quality and I like kind of the questions that they answer. So those are the 2 ways that I'm gonna, I guess, kind of use science curriculum, but it's not gonna be anything rigid. It's not gonna be like, oh, we have to dedicate time to science now. I want these things to come up kind of on their own. Like I want my kids to come up with these questions and kind of create hypotheses, and then we can find a video that meets their needs and, answers the questions that we have. Okay, next is math. So right now, both of my kids are still using primary mathematics, which is what we have always used for math. But I'm actually, like in real time, thinking about switching curriculums. I'm kind of thinking about switching to MEP, which is Math Enhancement Program. This is a free math curriculum available actually online. Believe it or not, and trust me, the quality is way better than what you expect from the price of free. The reason I'm considering changing is because I feel like my kids have been really bogged down by primary mathematics. It is mastery based. So what that means is you're supposed to master each math concept as you go. And then once you master it, then you move on to the next thing. I originally, as a young new homeschooler, I mean, even recently, thought this was the best way to teach math, and I'm still not convinced that it's not the best way, but I kind of want to switch things up. So one thing that's attractive to me with MEP is that it's spiral, which means that it kind of revisits different math concepts at different times in increasing difficulty, and then, you know, you master it over time. It's not like you have to like beat these levels to move on. So I think that might be kind of fun. I did a lot of research on it actually last night, and I think that it would be kind of an easier thing for us to, you know, incorporate into our homeschool day. MEP, it's available for free online. I will link to it below. I did also buy these Kumon workbooks just to supplement with primary mathematics when I was kind of convinced that we were going to continue with primary mathematics for sure. Now that I'm considering switching to MEP, I mean, of course I'll keep these workbooks and they could very well come in handy, but I do want to switch to MEP and kind of see if it is able, because it's spiral and it's every day you kind of do different exercises from different past lessons. I'm kind of wondering if that would help in order, like in keeping them kind of sharp on these different concepts. So I don't know, it's all kind of an experiment, as it always is in homeschooling. So we will see how much I end up using these Kumon workbooks. And the last thing that I did want to kind of cover here briefly is an extracurricular, which is a foreign language. So I did get them, each of my kids, these Song School Spanish books. Song School Spanish is kind of cool because each one comes with a CD that goes along with different lessons in this book. And then this also has like workbook pages type things where like the kids can write things. I'm not super concerned about that. We're just getting into, you know, the greetings, the alphabet, you know, different vocabulary in Spanish. So we'll see how it goes. We actually just started this and my kids love the songs like almost too much because they become a little repetitive and they're short songs. So it just goes over and over again. But they love it. I think that maybe this is a good, fun way to kind of introduce these concepts in song form. And what I like about this is I don't have to sit down and teach a lesson to them. We can just pop the CD in and kind of practice the alphabet, practice our greetings, practice different vocabulary words, and it's really easy. So it's a fun and simple way to kind of just say, hey, I did a Spanish lesson today. So yeah, that's my curriculum lineup for next year. I'm kind of making this transition kind of slowly. I've already started it, and you know, I'm not really sure what our summer homeschool plans will be. I'm not sure how much we're traveling or what. But I feel lucky that I already had a lot of these Charlotte Mason books and materials on hand anyway, so that I can make this transition without it being like, oh, I have to buy all this stuff and oh, I have to wait for it to come in and all this stuff. I feel fortunate that I already had Charlotte Mason on my mind, and now that I'm fully embracing it, because it feels like the most natural way to teach, in my opinion, I already have everything on hand. So that's a really nice development in my homeschool. It's kind of nerve-wracking to make changes in your homeschool, and you know, one day I might need to eat my words and admit that the way I ended up doing things was wrong, but I just appreciate you guys being along for the journey. Stick around because I'm sure I will be updating you guys periodically on how this whole Charlotte Mason and AmblesideOnline thing is going for us. If I had to pick one book that I am most excited to use this upcoming year, it would probably be Our Island Story, and I actually made a whole video review on this book already. So I will be putting a link to that video right here so you can check it out. See you next time, and happy homeschooling!